Question number 2, Stuart Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. How is the government's economic plan continuing to support the most vulnerable New Zealanders while at the same time encouraging economic growth?
Good question.
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the government is focused on striking a good balance between responsibly managing a growing economy, keeping spending under control and supporting the most vulnerable New Zealanders. Despite tight fiscal constraints, the government delivered several important gains for families from 1 April this year. Paid parental leave increased by 2 weeks, and it will increase another 2 weeks next April. The adult minimum wage increased from $14.25 to $14.75 an hour. New Zealand super increased by another 2%, and average ACC levies paid by employers and self-employed people fell by over 5%. And from 1 July, children under 13 have access to free GP visits and prescriptions. An average ACC levy for a private motor vehicle will fall by around $130 a year.
Supplementary question, Stuart Smith.
How will Budget 2015 advance the government's program to support more jobs and higher incomes for New Zealand families?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, one of the most important things we can do for families, particularly vulnerable families, is to support an economy that is generating more jobs. The growing economy has generated 194,000 extra jobs since 2011, and Treasury forecasts another 150,000 jobs will be created by mid-2019. Average annual wages have increased by $5,700 in the last 4 years, and they're forecast to rise by another $7,000 in the next 4 years to $63,000 a year. That's a $13,000 increase over 8 years, or around 25% increase in the average wage, compared with inflation of around 14% over the same period.
Supplementary question, Stuart Smith.
How will the $790 million child hardship package in the budget 2015 deliver more support for families in need?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, it will certainly deliver more support for family budgets. Benefit rates for families with children will rise by $25 a week. The first increase, well, actually they've had to wait 43 years because it's the first increase, which I think is through 2 Labor governments. The first increase separate from inflation adjustments for 43 years. And interestingly, Labor voted against it yesterday in the House.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Stuart Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What further steps did the budget take to help vulnerable New Zealanders, particularly in the area of finding work?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the budget, it's not just families with children who need work to get out of welfare dependency. There's also large numbers of other New Zealanders who are on or will be on benefit for a long time without additional support. So the budget provided $28.8 million for 4 social bond programs. The first will expand on a small and successful pilot delivering employment services to New Zealanders with mental health conditions. Social bonds, which have been used overseas, will become another part of the government's drive to deliver better results, with innovation between the public and private sector organisations working together. Some, of course, would rather leave people with mental illness isolated, alone and out of work than to try something new to get them into work.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Is it correct that his so-called economic plan, in fact, according to the budget, will mean growth will halve to less than 2% within 4 years?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the forecasts do show that after several years of growth at around 3%, the economy's, which is regarded as the economy's potential, it will drop back a bit. And of course, part of this government's intent is economic policy that supports the rates of growth that we currently have, and we'll be trying very hard to support those businesses who invest and employ and create higher growth rates than those projected.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Well, with reference to that answer, is it correct that Treasury's forecasts that show a halving of growth actually rely on dairy prices rebounding, and now they've dropped 54% since last year?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no, the member is not correct. The growth forecasts do not rely only on the dairy prices. Many other aspects of the export economy are going very well. The wine industry is growing strongly, the IT industry is growing strongly, the meat industry is not doing too badly. Our biggest industry, tourism, is going gangbusters, and our third biggest, international education, is also growing strongly. Those things are also part of the forecasts.
Order. Question number 3, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, this question is to the Minister for Senior Citizens and asks, when can my office expect a response